Today, sis, we're talking all about feelings not being facts and what you can do to give yourself a checkup. You can take this mindfulness technique and you can practice this in all areas of your life. But it's so important when you're healing your food and body relationship to find a way that is going to be simple for you, that you're going to be able to go to, that is going to be able to help you identify those triggers that are leading to those unhealthy behaviors. In today's episode, I'm sharing with you this special tool that you can leverage to have an internal attitude adjustment. Let's jump right into today's show. Here we go. Hey girl, welcome to the Her Best Self podcast. I'm Lindsay Nickel, former competitive figure skater and perfectionist, turned God-led imperfect boy mom and digital CEO. If you find yourself constantly thinking about food and wondering if you'll wake up one day free from the obsessive thoughts and behaviors controlling your life, then I've created this podcast for you because I know exactly what it's like to be a downright hot mess trapped in a destructive cycle of disordered eating. I finally found freedom, and you can too, girlfriend. So if you're ready to heal your relationship with food and body and break the chains of control and show up in your best health, then grab your favorite Tarjay journal and let's get to it so you can start living your best life as your best self. So I had a moment with my 5-year-old yesterday, and we were in a full-blown meltdown, okay? And if you're a mama, then you know what full-blown meltdown mode is. It's not fun, especially when you're not in your own house and everyone and their brother is judging you, is looking at you, and looking at your little one have a full-blown meltdown. Well, this meltdown was interesting, and I learned so much from this meltdown. My son was tired. My son was angry. My son was feeling sad and alone, and he was hungry. And what I learned from this meltdown is what I teach regularly and coach women on in their recovery. Feelings aren't facts, but feelings tell a story for our emotions. And as I was sitting there, just letting the meltdown occur, talking to my son, I had to get him to a place of understanding, to a place of pause, of just being in the moment and being able to talk with me and holding his hand right where he was. It was time for a feelings check-in. And talking with him, I said, do we need to check in with your feelings? What's going on? How have you been today? Well, he felt left out at school. He felt sad. He was starving because I noticed he hadn't had any food in his lunchbox. He, of course, was tired because he stayed up too late the night before, and that made him angry because he just wanted to be able to play with his friends. Sis, do you need a feelings check-in? Do you feel like you are 1 second away from a meltdown? See, eating disorders are not about food. Eating disorders are not about body image. Eating disorders are attempts to deal with our emotions that manifest over time into these unhealthy idols, preoccupations, and obsessions. But it's so important to understand where this all comes from, that our feelings play such an important piece in the puzzle. Restricting food, it makes you feel in control. It makes you feel successful. It makes you feel like you're on top of the mountain, like you've achieved, you've arrived, and you've conquered. Overeating, it soothes sadness and depression. It allows you to stuff down everything you're feeling. Purging your food, exercise, laxatives, vomiting, all of the like. It allows you to combat this feeling of helplessness and gives you temporary control. All can be used to punish yourself. All can be used to cope when life is feeling hard and you're melting down. What I tell my ladies is that the only way out is through. The only way out to the other side of freedom is commitment. The only way out is full-blown surrender, and the only way out is actually doing the action. But what most people don't understand is why the action doesn't occur, even though the desire is there deep within your being. In a nutshell, this is because a strong belief inside of you, a stronghold that reigns so true to your core, has become your identity. And even though your eating disorder is not who you are, it's very hard to unravel and tell the difference between those blurred lines of where the disordered version of you ends and the healthy version of you begins. But the good news is that this attachment, it was created over time. It was a learned behavior. And since it was learned, it can be unlearned. But in order to change your actions, or maybe your lack of actions, like food restriction, you must change your thoughts, you must change your feelings, you must get real with yourself. And in the middle of your meltdown, you must pause and you must reflect. And then you can change your belief. So today I'm going to ask you if it's time for you to have a feelings check-in, just like my son. We are going to time out. We are going to pause. We are going to sit with ourselves. We're going to get it out. We're going to have the tantrum, and then we're going to get real with where we're at. No one wants to sit with their feelings, especially when it feels super uncomfortable, especially when it feels painful, when it feels hard, when you feel alone, when you feel sad. But when you find yourself turning to food, wanting to restrict food, bargaining with your mind over food, or feeling triggered to act out this unhealthy behavior that you know in your heart isn't serving you, it's time to get intuitive. It's time to get interested. And then it's time to ask, what am I feeling right now? What emotion is driving me right now? This is a mindfulness technique that is a fresh way to go deeper into what it is you're actually longing for. My son just wanted to have a hug. He wanted to feel seen and heard, and he wanted to feel enough to believe in himself that he was worthy. He wanted love. Isn't that all of us? So David Stream came up with the HALT method, and I leverage the HALT method in private sessions with clients. And if you're looking for some support for your recovery, I would love to hear more about your story and see if I'm a good fit for you. You can come on out to lindsaynickel.com and fill out a client application. But sis, this HALT method is an internal assessment that's going to give you awareness, and you're going to be able to practice it right now today. So when you're in your meltdown, when you're sitting with all these feelings, when you're feeling disappointed, disheartened, hurt, anxious, overwhelmed, and you realize that those things are triggering disordered eating behaviors, I want you to halt and I want you to pause. And we're going to use this acronym that David Stream came up with. What is going on for me that I need to address? Okay, so the H in HALT stands for hunger. Am I hungry? Do I notice cues of being hungry? For many of you, maybe you don't have that yet, and that's okay. The more we practice conscious eating and leading into healthier coping mechanisms, the more you will establish those cues. But do you feel hungry? When was the last time you had something to eat? How can you nourish your body right now? The second part of HALT is the A, which stands for anger. Is something extremely stressful right now in my life? Is there this outside circumstance that I have absolutely no control over that is leaving me so angry, leaving me paralyzed, that I feel agitated, I feel hurt, I feel frustrated, maybe I feel jealous? The L stands for loneliness. What is causing me so much disappointment and grief? Am I bored? Am I sad? Am I upset with someone? Am I upset with myself? Do I feel left out or isolated from other people? Maybe I need community. What right now is making me feel so alone and isolated? This one's really important because the very thing that we turn to, our disordered relationship with food, actually creates more isolation. And that leaves us in this cycle of unhealthy behaviors. And then the last one is T for tired. Is my body tired? Am I sleeping enough? Have I slowed down to check in with myself and take time for me? Yes, maybe you've got all these responsibilities. I get it. I have so many responsibilities. I can't even count all the to-dos. But sis, it's important, especially when you're malnourished or you've been living like this for a really long time, that you check in. What can you do to gain energy today? How can you nourish yourself? So this internal HALT method assessment, it's all about pausing. It's about halting. It's about taking a minute, putting yourself in that timeout, in that space. It's going to allow you to process. And this actually results in less impulsive actions. If you're feeling confused in the blend between where your disordered relationship with food ends and where your true self begins, then it's because it's probably been a while since you did a check-in with you. Food is connected to how you're feeling. Do you know that you have all of these unmet needs? I mean, we're human. Maybe you're craving connection or warmth. Maybe you haven't had enough excitement lately or stimulation. Maybe you're trying to numb something or forget it ever happened. What is it that's challenging you right now? Because if these feelings are coming up for you, then it's most likely they're the exact reason why you're turning to food or the lack thereof to find what it is that you're searching for. I'm here to tell you this tool can help you change your relationship with food, because not only is it going to give you a minute to time out and check in with yourself. Am I hungry? Am I anxious and angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? Not only is it going to do that, but it's going to allow you to constantly be able to see what are the main things that trigger you. Am I constantly angry because I have somebody in my life I feel just pushes my buttons around, and therefore that is a super trigger for me? Okay, great. Guess what? Now we know that, and we can set a battle plan against it. We can form one so that instead of turning to restricting or purging or over-exercising or overeating, you're turning to something more mindful and actually processing and dealing with those emotions and feelings. What emotions do you feel most often? How can you lean into those? How can you reframe those? How can you honor that emotion? But if you're not checking in with how you're feeling, then you're allowing the cycle to continue in your life. And maybe you don't even know. When I was in the root of my eating disorder, the majority of the things that came up for me was that I felt inadequate. I felt insecure. I felt not good enough. And I always felt like I needed to belong, but I never did. And clinging to my control around restricting my food was the way that I gained satisfaction. It was the way that I felt somewhat like I belonged, because I had this strong willpower that people around me didn't have. And that made me feel superior. It made me feel actually enough for once in my life. But the truth is that's such a lie. It's so jaded. And instead of restricting, instead of controlling food, it's flipping that switch and going, what I'm really emotionally needing right now is the feeling and the desire to belong. I want people to like me. I want to feel affirmed. I want to feel adequate. I want to feel enough. I want to feel worthy. And if you're sitting in that place right now, I want you to know that this has nothing to do with food, and it has nothing to do with your body, but it has everything to do with what you're making it mean. Where can you fulfill this need to belong? Where can you fulfill this desire to be wanted? Those are human needs. You're not wrong for wanting to be in community with others. You're not wrong for wanting people to like you. You're not wrong for wanting to feel enough. But where this becomes wrong is that we take on these impulsive actions that lead to these beliefs that this is just who we are and we're never going to change. Today, I want you to halt, friend. I want you to do this exact same thing that I practice with my 5-year-old. Ask yourself, what is going on? What is coming up for me that I'm simply not addressing, that I'm ignoring? What is it that I need? And how can I honor me right now in this moment? Am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? Which one are you today? Or maybe you're a combination of all. That's okay too. You are seen and you are heard and you are loved. But in order to change your actions, or in order to change your lack of actions, you must change your thoughts. And in order to change your thoughts, you have to change your feelings, which are all tied to this underlying belief that maybe you're just not good enough. But what if that's a lie? Because it is a lie. You're more than enough because you are held no matter what. You are more than enough because you are chosen no matter what. You are more than enough because you are creating a new version of you. And guess what? You're a new creation. And you are more than enough because you can be redeemed. You are redeemed and you are free. and you are stepping into your truth. You are more than enough because you're heard and you're seen. And not just by me, but by your creator, by the owner of the universe. You're worthy, you're beautiful, you're a conqueror. I want you to step into that power today. And when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling like you're in a meltdown, halt. Ask yourself, what's going on that I need to listen to? What am I trying to process? And then just let it be. Sis, I believe in your recovery. And I show up here episode after episode because I know that you're listening. I know that you're depending on these episodes. I know that every single time you're listening to a new episode, that you are getting some inspiration and love, that you are coming to feel uplifted and seen, because I was there. I was right where you sit. I felt hopeless and down. I felt not enough and inadequate. I felt depressed, disappointed, disheartened. I felt lonely, and I was tired. And not just the tired of physical tired, because yes, I was physically tired, but I was emotionally tired. I was mentally exhausted because of the overwhelm in my mind, because of the confusion in my mind, because how ashamed I was. But I'm just here to tell you today that you can turn all of that around. You have the power to do so. I want you to practice this HALT method this week. And I want you to start thinking, how can I honor myself? How can I show up hopeful? How can I create more joy? How can I get my peace back? Because that's exactly what you deserve. All right, girl, I'll see you real soon. Bye for now. Oh, friend, thank you so much for letting me share what was on my heart today. My hope for this podcast is to help more women find freedom from food and body. If this has empowered or blessed you, let me know. I'd be honored for your rating and review of my show, and I'd love to connect with you in my private Facebook community. You really can move from perfection to purpose. Let's break the chains together. I'll help navigate the way. Until next time, bye for now, girl.